class, page 4, we have another question here with a 7-mark question. Discuss about the above in the account of pro chain. So we are pro chain here. If you see more than one company name, remember, you will be doing account for pro chain. Here also has been given 31st May 2006, so the emphasis will be that particular year, according to IFRS. The company operates in fashion industry, so maybe they sell clothing, and has financial year end May 2006, mentioned already in the requirement. The company sells its product in department stores throughout the world. This is how they do business now. They sell fashion goods in department stores, very large company all over the world. Most of the time, class, of course it's not every time, but most of the time, this kind of fashion company, they do not own the department store because they are selling one kind of goods, which is only the fashion. You can't be the whole department store only selling fashion things. You need other things there. So this kind of fashion company will most likely go into each department store. It could be Isetan, Robinson, Marks & Spencer, Aeon, Parkson, to negotiate for rental. So I suspect the department store is not currently owned by ProChain. Let's further read to confirm that. ProChain insists on creating its own selling area within the department store, which ProChain call it model areas. This applies to the branded one. The branded one, if they operate from a department store or a shopping mall, they will always want to have a special area with their own design. They put decorations. So sometimes you go to places like Parkson, Aeon, Robinson, or whatever, you go in, you can immediately judge from their decorations which brand is more expensive, which brand is less. So those with a lot of decoration, a lot of design, interior designs, those are the expensive ones. So now I know already the department store is officially not owned by ProChain because ProChain need to insist. If ProChain owns the store, ProChain don't need to insist, right? So not owned by ProChain. ProChain is allocated space in department store where ProChain can display and sell its goods. The company feels that this helps to promote its merchandise. So that is the economic benefits. ProChain pays for all the costs of the model area, including design, decoration, and construction costs. If ProChain pays for all these costs, ProChain must credit bank. Do you think ProChain can debit PPE? Because we are still in the PPE chapter. Department store, including the model areas, are not owned by ProChain. So they spend money to decorations. Credit bank. Can debit to PPE or not? This might test us on the definition and recognition. Definition hits supply goods, supply services, all can. Then the recognition criteria. Can anyone remember 3 points altogether? Recognition criteria. Number 1, control. Control. So own not really very important. Control is important. So if ProChain ran that area for definitely more than 1 year, then you will control the area only. No one else can come in without permission of ProChain. So I believe all these are PE. Control, future benefit, future economic benefit. The cost is also there. They pay all the costs then. So we're going to write an essay to justify all these costs are PT later. The area are used for approximately 2 years. After that, the company have to dismantle the model area. Does it mean that they only do business there only for 2 years? It could be true, it could be not true. If you operate from a department store or shopping mall or whatever, the shopping mall will most likely force all the users, all the tenants, all the shops to do regular renovations. Maybe every 3 years, maybe every 4 years. So if you regularly go to shopping mall, you will see some shops are closed for a few months. Then when you walk near there, they say, we are closed to serve you better. How to serve me better when they are closed, right? They just do renovation so that they can serve us better. That's all. So this is quite common. I believe pro chain have to re-renovate, I guess, every 2 years. So each time the money spent for the construction, it lasts for only 2 years. Each time. So each time when you spend, you depreciate 2 years. It will be, I believe, fully write off. No residual value, because all these construction material, if you dismantle them, they might not have value anymore. So that is a 2 years depreciation. Provision. Yeah, that's the next thing, 20%. The cost of dismantling are normally 20% of original construction cost. Okay. And the elements are worthless when dismantled. Double confirm already, no stock value. The current accounting practice followed by the company is to charge full cost of the model area against profit or loss. Charging full cost against profit or loss is a very professional way in saying a write-off. So current policy is full cost write-off in the year when the area is dismantled. We don't do this for PPE. PPE, original cost capitalized, then we depreciate. It will be every year a bit we write off, not the full cost after 2 years write off. Current policy is wrong. Because they need to depreciate the model area. Accumulated cost of the model area in the balance sheet. Very old fashioned, year 2006. So those days we call statement of financial position as balance sheet. It's 20 million. This 20 million will be useful for depreciation calculation and also the provision value calculation. Because cost of dismantling is 20% of the original construction cost. The company estimates the average age of the model area is 8 months. 8 months as at the year end, so we suggest the depreciation is calculated based on 8 divided by 4. After the requirement, there's one line, there's small line. Assume discount rate of 5%. This is applied for present value discounting. Original cost 20 million. Construction normally will take up 20% of it, so it's 4 million. The 4 million is the future value. Because every time we spend 2 years later, take up. But they all do account now, you're supposed to apply a discounting for the present value. So for a 7-mark question, let's see how long we have in actual exam. Okay, 7 marks, 1.8. It is based on a 3-hour calculation. So we have about 12, not even 13, it's just 12 minutes. So 12 minutes to read this. To think about it, I think we need to read more than one time, right? Sometimes 4 or 5 times we don't know what they're talking. So 12 minutes to read, to understand, do a bit of planning like this, and write the answer out. Definitely not enough money. So if in the exam you can write more than half, it's already very good. And then in SBR, I believe I told you in the last class, calculation is not very important. So we still calculate this morning. We'll see later on, I'm going to use about 20 minutes to do the answer. Do and then explain to you, do again, take a long time. Okay, look at the planning again, yeah, class. You see, all the points are distributed very evenly. From top to the middle to the end, we always have points. So if you in the exam for the 7 marks, apply only to the top or only to the bottom, you won't be able to get full marks. Even though you could be writing 7 pages of answer, because they want you to answer everything. A bit on top, a bit in the middle, and a bit at the bottom. So can you take out a blank paper? The one that you took down the 2 answers in the last class is still useful. Now it's the third one. Third one. Have the notes. Let me check the questions to structure it once again. Okay, all right. Right, class, now they finish, huh? I haven't do calculation. I got things to tell you before I do the calculation. Okay, let me review back my answer. Yeah? Not own but can control future economic benefit. It is a PPE because it supplies fashion goods. Now the note say supply of goods. The note didn't say supply of fashion goods because different business will be selling different goods. Now there's no problem actually if you write construction costs spent to help in supply of goods. Actually no problem. But if you can write based on the situation, supply of fashion goods, chances for you to get a full mark is actually a lot higher. Because ACCA already mentioned they do not, at this level, all the strategic paper, they do not welcome general answer, which you can just one day before the exam, you can memorize it. Then go into exam hall, write the same definition out, you might get 0. So they want you to answer based on the situation and apply to that situation. And this application is selling the fashion goods. So a bit of detail can actually decide whether you get 50, 51, or 49. A bit of detail. So we apply the situation by saying fashion goods and so forth. Depreciations, no scrap value. Then talk about provisions already. So these 7 marks here, one paragraph, talks about 2 accounting standards, PPE and provision. Again, just now we calculated about 12 minutes, right? To read a few times, to understand, to plan, and finally to execute it out. Reading can be fast, can be slow. Thinking can be fast, can be slow. Writing is the same thing. I lecture for so many years. Every time I finish typing the answer, some will finish at the same time when I finish and start to play phone. Some still struggling. Some you see them, they write very fast, but actually very slow. I don't know why their hand move very fast, but they're writing very slow. But I think this is a physical limitation, which inherently the exam will be disadvantage to some of us who we cannot write fast. So that is too bad. Not that we can do anything today. The exam is fixed like that. Everyone go in 3 hours only. If you write faster, you get better time. You write slower, then you just have to work harder. Every day in the class, we'll practice writing. So sometimes I will apply the pressure, say next question, then those write even faster. But I understand because I also write quite slow. That's why I type. Last time I used whiteboard, I always cannot finish class. That's why I type. Right? So I have my limitation as well. You have your limitation. Your exam is writing. My teaching is typing. Then the class, we got 2 accounting standards, right? PPE, provisions. Examiner very frequently say the student cannot make judgment. When the student finally see that the story has 2 accounting standards, the student accidentally wrote the short one to be a long one. In this case, after I finish the whole reading, it is about a company selling fashion goods. It is more to PPE. The provision come in only because of one point, dismantling. That's all. So if you write more about provision in the answer, you won't get full mark. In fact, your story could be appear in the examiner comment, saying that this is the example of student cannot judge. When the story didn't talk much about provision, the student will write a lot of answer about provision. Right. So provision, I will put a limit to it. You see, I have a few paragraphs for you on PPE, but this is the only paragraph I have, I believe, for the provision. I can go on actually. I can talk about present obligation, probable payment, and the cost can be estimated reliably. I don't want. There's no time in the exam. You only get 4 minutes to do the whole thing. So let me do calculations. One for the PPE, the cost, and also the depreciation. Another one is for the provision, including the unwinding interest cost. Sorry? After the requirement at the bottom there. Assume discount rate 5%. Class, let's look at the calculation. Construction cost 20. Dismantling supposed to be 4, but we take only the present value. That's why we discount 5% for 2 years. Then we charge depreciation based on 8 months over 2 years. There's a debit here, 3.6, and credit the provision, so you see the same amount of side, debit, credit. And then this one will be slowly moving to the future. So we are growing the liability. So I show you in a calculator. If you're a bit confused on this, 20 million, 20%, 4 million. But we present value it for 2 years based on 5%, 3.628117938. No need, 3.6 enough already. Then as we move 1 year nearer to the future, so we increase it by 5%, so we multiply 1.05. And then in the second year, we increase it back by another 5%. So after 2 years, the provision will actually go back to 4 million. But of course, now it's not yet. The question says all these are only 2 months at the moment. So progressively, we only charge 0.1 to increase it a bit. But after 24 months, it will be back to 4 million. Remember this double entry? Interest expense, debit interest expense, credit to provision to increase the provision. Okay? Class, if you have nothing to ask, we look at the last PPE question. Alright, every chapter will have questions. Some chapters have a bit more because those are hot topics, important chapters. Some chapters have a bit less. But I will try my best at every chapter. The last question is for you to write the answer at home. I will discuss this with you in the class. We do planning, we'll circle here, write a few points here and there, let you understand the whole thing first. But how to write the things out, you can try at home. Answer will be available online for you to download later. Okay, so there will be a video link to you, and whatever that I ask you to try at home will be followed by answer after that. So you can try writing maybe tonight, because tonight you are not going anywhere, right? To the working adults, it's a Monday blue night. Hey, tomorrow holiday, yeah. So this week no Monday blue, so can do homework, right? Alright, so you can try. You better try now than trying 2 hours before the exam. You try now, you write your own versions, then by the time you can download my versions, you compare. If they are mostly the same, means you can understand my class and you can express. If they are different, then you can see me if you want to. If they are blank, then you have to try. If they are blank one, you have to try. Right. 11 mark question. What do we have to do? Discuss the treatment above in the accounts of, how to read this? K. The company, right? The accounts of the company. Now, for an 11 mark question class, time allocated will be quite generous. We have close to 20 minutes. But it is indeed a long question. Reading, planning, and so forth. Class, don't do this in the exam. For planning, you read from top to the bottom. Don't do that. This is the purpose the examiner segregate 2 paragraphs. So you can actually finish reading the first paragraph and start writing your answer. I would say 99.99999 to no end percent, 99% of the time, second paragraph will not be related to the first paragraph. He is not that cruel. So first paragraph is standalone more than 99% of the time. Second paragraph standalone. If you don't know how to do the first paragraph, feel free to skip it and straight away do the second paragraph. Share with you again. One of my students, she attempted the 2014 sitting 5 years ago, 2014. Now she graduated, married, got baby already. 5 years can change a lot, right? 2014. So after the exam, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, she called me. Now I normally don't pick up my phone number, but this one keep on ringing. I think this is not scam. Scam normally call 1-2 times, after 1-2 days, then call 1-2 times again, but this one non-stop ringing, So I pick up, it's her. So she said, Mr. Console came out, essay console came out, and got one is deferred tax plus foreign currency. So what's that? I also never see before. Deferred tax plus foreign currency. So the console one, consolidation essay, she didn't do at all. 25 marks. Didn't do at all. So she chose another one. So I was wondering, so difficult, man. Or my teaching really so bad, my student 25 marks, 1 mark also cannot get. So after some time when the sitting available can be downloaded, I go and check the question. I check the 25 marks, only like half-page question, only 1 or 2 lines talk about console. The rest of them talk about other things. So she abandoned the whole 25 marks because of 1 or 2 lines that talks about console. If you don't do that 1 or 2 lines out of 25, you will be losing about 6-7 marks, I think. 6-7 marks. You don't get, but out of 25, you don't get 6-7, it's still okay, rather than you abandon the whole question. So please understand this, when examiners segregate into 2 paragraphs, there's always a reason that you can feel very safe to only do number 1 first, finish that, then do back number 2. And the marks allocation, I see the length is about equal, right? You don't need a ruler to measure or whatever, it looks like equal. So we get 5.5 and 5.5 here. SBR don't have half mark. P2 last time, yes. SBR don't have 1 or 0. 1 or 0. So maybe first paragraph we get 5 or 6. 5 or 6. So actually it's 5 or actually it's 6. I can't answer you that because I haven't read also. But I'm very sure if you are a good writer, you can express yourself. 1 point you can get 2 marks. If you can express yourself. And if you can express yourself, first paragraph can have more than 6 marks. If you can. So if you miss out some important points, you will still get very high marks. 5 or 6. Can you spend about 1-2 minutes like that? Read only the first paragraph. Long passage, you read only the first paragraph. 1 or 2 minutes. So can you or any one of you tells me first paragraph, the main thing that first paragraph is talking. If you can identify the main problem, of course it has sub-problems as well. Sub-problem you can't see, never mind, the main problem. If you can see the main problem, you minimum get 2 marks already. Because you write points, you elaborate 2 out of 5 or 2 out of 6 is already in your podcast. So what is the main problem in the first paragraph?
Residual value.
Residual value, which is linked to how they calculate depreciation. So the company didn't calculate depreciation appropriately. Is there anything to do with the useful life? Is there any problem?
Yes.
What's wrong with the useful life?
Some of it are 10 years.
So
that's the useful life.
that is not a problem. No problem for the useful life. It has the useful life discussion there, but it is not the main problem. The main problem is their scrap value is constant for 10 years. That is not possible. With technological advancement, you are supposed to review all your assets every year. Constant. Not realistic. The business vessel constitutes a material part of its total assets. Vessels are ships. Okay, if they buy ships, and use it for transport, then how should we classify the ships? PPE, supply of goods. If they buy the ships and rent out, how should we classify the ships? IP. Ships what? Is ships a building? If you didn't decorate it, looks like a building, it is not. But do you know that some ships, you go in, it has a casino inside.
Yeah.
It has a golf course inside, tennis court, swimming pool. Those are building. If you do like that, if just a normal ships for delivery, they won't hardly qualify as a building. But now I think they're using for their own business because no way in the first paragraph is talking about they are renting it out. So this is PPE. In this case, PPE. Economic life is estimated to be 30 years, but useful life of some, not all, some are only 10 years. Any difference between economic life and useful life? What's the difference then?
Useful life is what the company uses.
Okay, useful life is entity specific. That's how often you guys change handphone. How often? I know some people every year, every 2 years. Until the phone cannot on, then I change it. So that is the entity specific, personal specific useful life. But what is the economic life then? Sorry? In general, like you cannot express outright. So the word is in the mind but cannot come out. Eat more food. Eat more food. Economic life means the maximum business life it has. Maximum business life. So ships will be safe on the water based on the industry only 30 years. Maybe at last the ship can still move after 30 years, but it's no longer safe for business. Maximum business life. If you don't like this maximum business life, you can say the life that they accept can give you economic benefits. Same thing, business, economic benefits. It can actually last for 30 years, but entity specific say only 10 years. We accept that. It's their freedom anyway. If they want to use up to 30 years, use life 30 years also can. But use life more than 30 will not be reasonable. I won't say it's not allowed, but it's not reasonable. If you want to depreciate more than 30, we might suspect that you are doing some manipulation. You want to go beyond the maximum business life. So no problem with this. I put an OK here. Wait, why have you pressed the aircon just now? Then you check your setting, you could be setting it to 30 degrees already. Then once you press,
I didn't go out yet.
how do you go out? You don't have the key. If you try to play around with this thing while I'm explaining, suddenly it becomes an hour already. Okay, continue. The company estimate the scrap value to be half of its acquisition. But you see, it is impossible in the exam for us to know whether half of the cost is correct or not. Impossible. Even in the office, as an accountant, we also don't know. Accountants only know how to do accounts. About the ships, machines, plant. So let's accept that at the moment, but we say it's not realistic to be concerned every year. In the answer later, you will have to mention it will be reviewed every year. The company argued that estimates of the residual value used were conservative because of immature market with high degree of uncertainty. Conservative. When we do accounting, should we be conservative?
Yes. We should be prudent.
Then why you say yes for conservative? Are they the same? Conservative and prudent. They are different. Conservative means old-fashioned, old thinking that you refuse to change. Prudent means careful. We always change. We can be very modern, but we are always very careful. So wrong. It is actually prudent. Prudent means careful. Now, if your scrap value is wrong, or if your useful life is wrong, or whatever, your depreciation will be wrong. A bit away from here, then we talk about external audit. You guys have passed your external audit paper? Or anyone still holding the F8, AA, haven't passed? Some people have this kind of things. They go to P level already, but they still have F8 with them, the AA. No, right? So you guys are very good in external audit then. Let me ask you one question, I'm the external auditor now. I'm drafting an account. I'm checking their depreciation. I'm auditing their depreciations. Can you tell me some audit procedure to make sure the depreciation is true and fair?
Obtain written representation.
Well, the one can be applied to any single, even the toilet clean or not also can obtain written representation for the management. So that's too general, specifically to the depreciation. How?
Inquire and compare to similar industry.
But then it is specific, entity specific.
It does. Competitors or anything.
Yeah, competitor. I mean, you are human, I'm human also, but you change handphone every 2 years, I change handphone every 20 years. So it's very hard to compare actually. It's not strong, it's not strong, yeah?
Inquire expert.
So we're going to pay the expert cost then. Who's going to pay the expert cost? The client won't pay. The client won't even pay the auditor. Why would the client want to pay for the expert? Now listen up. You don't talk to the client. If you talk to the client, do you think the depreciation is true and fair? Of course they say yes. Then they sign you a written representation saying it's true and fair. You look at my calculator for a while, how to calculate depreciation. Now, if the asset cost is 100 and we estimate the scrap value to be 30, then it is based on 70 depreciable amount we do depreciation. So the maximum depreciation we can go is until the scrap value of 30. After this point, we should not depreciate further. So let's say after the end of its useful life, we really sell it. And if our scrap value estimation is good, our selling price is around 30. So we won't have very big gain on disposal. We won't have very small, very big loss on disposal. So it will be around there. Now the question says, some vessel were being sold for a price a lot above the carrying value. So that means your depreciation wrong already lah. Your book value at any time is wrong. Proven by the scrap value. When you sell, it's a lot different. So that is a wrong depreciation. Continue. Broker valuation of the scrap value is a lot higher than those used by us. We argue against the broker valuation on the ground that it will result in greater volatility in reporting. Volatility means not stable. Broker valuation, our valuation. Broker valuation versus our valuation, the problem is our valuation is always not independent. If we were value our own asset, we will always have our own agenda. But broker is an independent party. They are outsider. They might not be getting any benefit from just doing valuation. Of course, they can get commission if they sell, but they will not get anything if they just do valuation. So we believe their view is more independent. And they are the profession, these are main job. Broker, agent, buy, sell ships. They know a lot better than the company. More reliable estimation. Okay, so that is the end of the first paragraph. That you see we have points a bit on top, a bit in the middle, and a bit at the bottom. This is how we get the full 5 for 6 months. So you go home, you try, you express out, and then you can download the answer, you can compare the answer. So now, second paragraph. Can you spend another 1 or 2 minutes to read the second paragraph, and then you do the same exercise again? Provision, depreciation. Which part says so? Huh? The last one. Oh, okay. Provision, where it says so? Huh? Overhaul. Overhaul means what? Engine overhauling. It could mean exchange, change a new engine. It could mean a very, very massive repair, engine overhaul. Do we have provision for repair? Should we do provision? Should we? How often we need to service our car? When it breaks down. Recommended one is 5,000 km, or depends on the engine oil, some 7,000, some 10,000 km, or 3 months, or 6 months, or 1 year, whichever earlier. So the manufacturer of the car and the manufacturer of the engine oil will always give you recommendation every 3 months, every 6 months, every 1 year. But who follow? No one. So if I know my engine oil can last for 7,000 km, I normally stretch until 10,000. So this round I gain 3,000 km extra. I don't need to pay so much for the repair. In the long run, I can save a lot of money. I know the car won't break down. Just by overrun 3,000 km, it's alright. There's no obligation to do repair. If my car eventually breaks down, I just park there, and I can take LRT, I can take Grab. I don't go to jail because of I didn't service my car. Engine overhauling is the same thing. There's no obligation. There's no provision needed actually. Hey, but don't write anything yet. Don't write anything yet. Talking about cars, not too much different from ships. They are vehicles, cars. A normal cars, be it Malaysian made, Japanese car, or European car. How many years it can run safely on the road? Cars, Malaysian route. How safe is it? Now, Malaysian city routes, KL, whatever, Penang, you buy sport car or you buy Kantil, no difference. Traffic jam every day. I think like class, estimations, 9 years, 10 years, no problem. For an ordinary car, 9 years, 10 years. But in between, you have to service change black oil and this change tire. Cannot be today collect key, 9 years no need to do anything, I really drive, cannot be like that. So that is called the service potential. The car service potential could be 10 years, but you must regularly service it, repair it, otherwise it cannot reach its service potential. Talking about this, can you go back to page 1 for a while? Because of her lah. Just now was alright, then she hand it and press, don't know, become very hot already. And you go back to page 1, under the structure here, are you looking at this? There's a line there. Major costs for overhaul and or to restore service potential are capitalized. So does it mean every time I service my car, I need to capitalize the service cost? Normal car, again, normal car, not the sport car, normal car. One time service, change black oil and this, that, how much would it cost? Few hundred. If you can find a foreman, you buy your own oil, you buy your own oil filter, then I think it's around 150 only. 150 for a normal car, 150. I don't think I want to capitalize 150 because 150 is not major. Change the whole engine maybe, change black oil no. So that is the point that we are talking. Major costs for overhaul or to restore the service potential are capitalized. Yeah, it's what mentioned in the notes. Let's now go back to the question. Okay, I suggest no provision. because there's no obligation, no provision. When you spend, you capitalize. The company keeps some of the ship for the whole 30 years, which is allowed. Need to do engine overhaul every 10 years. And this is the reason why vessels are sold every 10 years. So maybe they don't want everything also change engine. Some 10 years already up, they sell. Some they keep. If you keep, you must change the engine. When you change the engine, you can capitalize the new engine cost. The residual value of the ships kept for 30 years is based on the steel value. After 30 years, the ship is worthless in terms of business. You can't sell to any of your competitors. Maybe you can sell to those real rich people for collection. Some people have an island, so they need some ships to park there so that when they take pictures, it's nicer. You can sell to these people. But these people buy those very old ships for decoration. It's not for business. So they will only pay a very, very small scrap value, which is based on the steel value. I think this is okay. Not business value. Just the Besi Buruk value. The junk. Okay. So this time is correct for the scrap value. At the time of the purchase, service potential which will be required to be restored. The engine is measured based on the cost as if it had been performed at the time of the purchase. When you buy new, you actually don't need to do overhaul. The engine is still new. So I will reconfirm this point that you are not actually allowed to add the provision inside your PPE. 2 times already. No provision, no provision. Because they say the service cost is measured based on the cost as it has been performed at the time of purchase. How can you do that? At the time of the purchase, you didn't do that. So you cannot capitalize the cost. In the current year, one of the vessels has its engine totally replaced only after 8 years. By right, it can last for 10. So this is change in estimation. Plus, we have 2 kinds of changes. One is change in policy. One is change in estimate. We have a separate class to talk about this in the future. What is change in policy? What is change in estimate? Now I tell you straight away, if you change estimation, you do prospective change. Or you can call it prospective adjustment. So at first, you do all the calculations based on 10 years. But who knows, one engine, only one, right? One of the vessel, one engine totally replaced only after 2 years. This is nobody's fault. We try our best to estimate, but sometimes it can be different. So we do prospective adjustment. You're going to know it better in that class in the future. What do you mean by prospective adjustment? Normally, engine lasts for 30 years if overhauled every 10 years. No points here. Additionally, one type of vessel was having its funnels. This is a smoke pipe. Replaced after 15 years, but the smoke pipe had not been depreciated separately last time. Now, don't care so much about this word funnels in the exam. You know it is part of the ship, that's all. It's part of the ship. Totally replaced after 15 years, but not separately depreciated. Now, let's keep things simple, yeah, class. Assuming this is the ship itself, and this is a smoke pipe. So the ship can last for 30 years. If you really want to use it, can last for 30 years. But the smoke pipe is only half, 15 years. So if you already know this in day one, you're supposed to segregate the cost. The smoke type, 15 years depreciation. The rest will be based on 30 years time. But they didn't do that last time. They combine everything and they depreciate 30 years. So now once you replace the funnels, you have problem doing accounting. The new cost might not be cheap enough. And how do you capitalize them? You already make an error. This is an error. This is not estimation changes. This is error. How to correct error, class? Retrospective. Now, by the time you write your answer, you reach to the end, you found an error, you say error retrospective, you can look at the clock. If it's already consumed all the allocated time of 20 minutes, 19, 40 minutes, then you should stop already. But by right up class, we can further to explain how they correct the error. It is so simple in the exam, for us to say, if you didn't separately depreciate them last time, if you didn't do that last time, it is an error. Okay, we agree? Adjustment is retro, go back to last time, readjust again. Okay, we agree. But how actually to do it? Exactly how to do it? That one we don't talk. We don't talk. Time's up, we don't talk. Okay? You most likely already get full marks if you write like this. But if you want to know how to correct it exactly, I can tell you. Might not be useful in the exam because in the exam, two things happen. Number one, forget. Second thing, no time. But it's good to know, class. Today we got time. You're on page 4, right? Page 4. No space already. A bit at the bottom there, I see some of you. A bit at the bottom there, alright? I see some of you have a bit of space here. Okay, you let me finish first, then you take down. Okay, let me finish first. Listen first, pay attention. You never do a separate depreciation last time, so you won't have a book value for it. You won't have. If you have done the separate depreciation last time, you have a book value. That value is just write off. A lot easier that way. But now you don't have. So you need to find the old cost. Okay, that is step number 1. Don't copy first. Let me finish first. Okay. The other one. Black cannot. Too dark. Hey, here, this one. Today I write off, right? Today, it is already 15 years old. 15 years. So how do I know 15 years ago, how much would it be? Some people say, you go and find back the old invoice and then do some apportionment. More cost will be go to the ship, less cost go to the funnels. I mean, it's very easy to say, but how to do apportionment? Is it based on floor area? Is it based on kg? Kg, you weight it. It's not easy, So the accounting standard says, you have an old one, you go to the shop, ask the new one price, get that price, discount it 15 years ago. It becomes a cost. So let me finish first, don't copy first. Find old cost. So this present value 15 years ago becomes the old cost. It might not be true, class, but that is the best you can do. Then when you want to write off the book value, you don't write off the cost. You use the old cost, depreciate 15 years. You do one more time. Retrospective, remember, you go back to day 1 and you redo everything again. You depreciate one more time. Okay, class, you can take this down. Find limited space that you have to take this thing down. Finish, class? Okay, so we can abandon PPE now. We can go to next accounting standard. Next one, investment property. Property earn rental or for capital appreciation. This is for passive income. Property, land or a building or part of a building or both. I know in class when we use English, the word property can imply belongings. So this whiteboard is a property of the college. You can say that in your daily English, but you can't use that in accounting because in accounting, property refers only to land or building. So other than that, we're not coming to this accounting standard. Your car rent out cannot come in. Your machine rent out also cannot come in. Held by owner or by lessee. The detail of it, we'll discuss it in a separate class. Final chapter of the book 1 talks about leases. Held by owner or by lessee. Example, land for long-term capital appreciation. People buy land to keep. So time is the cost of time. So that's why a lot of people say you should invest when you're young. Because investment needs time to generate the return. How about we do the short term one? Short term, I know share market, morning buy, afternoon sell, morning buy, afternoon sell. Normally those you play the morning buy, afternoon sell, you make losses. Normally it's like that. Because you are not the big players. You don't have enough money to generate the price. You will be generated. You can't generate. Right? So the best way is use time. You're young, you buy a bit of shares, those got potential. You really got money, buy a building, whatever. After retirement, sell. That's it, cash out. Whatever return it is for your retirement. Land held for undetermined future use. Not sure. Not sure, then why you buy it? I see people buy, then I buy. Those are very rich people. You see people buy, you also buy. But what you want to do, you don't know. we expect most of the time it is government having this. Government, all the lands belongs to the country, but controlled by the government. So last year we have a change in government, right? The land ownership still being changed. The land still owned by the country, but controlled by different guys already. So the same guy controlled 2 times already. Second time now, 93 years old guy. Okay, 2 times already. So when I ask Tun, what would you do with the mountain in front of my house? Mountain. Tun will say, don't know. So those are investment property. Then for unknown purpose. Next one, building, lease out, rent out. Okay, so I buy building, I rent the building out. Now don't worry too much what is operating. We have a separate class, remember, IFRS 16. Today you just understand building rent out is investment property. Empty building help to be leased out soon. Soon. Not yet, but soon will also be investment property. Property that's being constructed or developed, the work in progress, WIP, for future use as investment property. So if you don't know where to capitalize your work in progress, your material cost, labor cost, and overhead, you can park them under the investment property first. If the WIP for future use as PPE, then the WIP you park it to PPE. But some people construct building to sell, isn't it? Construct building to sell, but those are inventory. If the WIP future use as inventory. So how do you classify the WIP again? It depends on your end usage. When it's completed, what do you want it to become? Then it becomes now. That's something. Investment property in this case. Alright, let's go on. Property partly owned use, partly rent out. A lot of large corporations would like to have very tall office. Very, very tall office. If you next time work in an office, do you want to occupy from floor number 62? 62? Or just ground floor? You get down from LRT, you just walk in, then come out, get LRT and go back. Or you want to add floor number 62? Floor number 74? You want or not? Huh? Don't want ah? Nice view oh. Nice view. You know Lao Yat Plaza? Federal Hotel? They were just nearby, right? This area. The group was known as Lao Yat Group. Lao Yat Group. Jalan Ampang Empire Tower was their office, Empire Tower. So last time I went to their place for audit, see their accountant. If I'm not mistaken, it was at level number 49. I can see my house from there. I can see my house. This is my house, but I can't see my mom. It's very far. But nice view, nice view. Because in the meeting room with cool aircon and all this, waiting for the accountant to come, we watch people having traffic jam and all this. Feels so good. You know? Nice view. But if they build tall buildings, they can't occupy all. They will sure rent out some. So now the building have mixture. Some are for office, some are for rent out. Partly PPE, partly investment property. So how do we do accounting for this? You check. Can part of the building be sold separately? Modern building can. Each unit or office you can sell separately. Modern building can. But sometimes some building cannot. The title got problem. The ownership got problem. Buy the whole thing, sell the whole thing. So if part of the building can be sold separately, then you do white is investment property, gray is PPE. You do the cost apportionment. Question will tell you how to do it. You don't need to assume. But you say no, the part of the building cannot be sold separately. Then the whole thing is accounted for as investment property. If you tell me PPE is small, if PPE is big, then the whole thing is PPE. Okay, good. Right, let's move on. Ancillary services. Can someone give me example of ancillary services? Maintenance.
Room service.
Room service.
Home housekeeping.
Cleaning lah. Room service included my housekeeping.
Room service is wider, they include breakfast.
Laundry. And many more. Cannot be writing exam until lunchtime, you know, right? And many more. Huh? So you rent out building to someone, and you also provide all this maintenance. Not all lah, not everybody do that lah. Some people do that. Now the moment you start to provide maintenance, room service, cleaning, laundry, we start to ask you back, are you really doing that for passive income? Because I see other property owner passive income is they do vacation one. You go and do cleaning, laundry, and all this. Are you earning this as active income? If you tell me you're doing active income like hotel, then it is PPE already. So if significant services provided, if significant, then it becomes PPE like hotel. How do I know whether it's significant or not? The question will tell you. The question says this is significant, then it becomes PPE. It will fall back to IAS 16. It won't use this accounting standard. Right, move on. Recognition. Similar to PPE, IAS 16. Now the problem becomes less already, but I still see some in recent years. In my notes say, when do we recognize investment property? In my notes say similar to IAS 16. So if we give tests to the student, some students write back to me exactly the same word, similar to IAS 16, and argue back to me when I don't give them marks. Listen, your note says no. My fault. Okay. Can you remember the recognition for PPE? Control, probable, future, economic benefit, cost reliable, purchase cost, delivery, installation, legal fee, provision, all comes in. Similar to IAS. Measurement model. Choose either one. PPE will also have choices. PPE we have cost model. PPE we have evaluation model. Here we have cost model still, same one. Same as PPE. Fair value model is then a bit different. Now look at the box measurement model here. Choose either one for all the investment property. We also don't have this for PPE last time. PPE is we divide the PPE into classes first. Some PPE can use cost model, some PPE can use valuation model. So in PPE we can do mixed model. But here no. Only one for all. If you want to go for cost model, then all of your investment property cost model. If you want to go for fair value model, then all of your investment property will be using fair value model. Now I have a space here reserved for you to write down the difference between fair value model and revaluation model of PPE. They look similar, but they have obvious differences between the two. Okay, so I use this space here to write down a few points. The PPE revaluation model versus investment property fair value model. Right, the first difference already mentioned just now. One is on each class, one is on all. Revaluation need not to be every year. If you want to, you also can. But for IP, it must be every year. Um, Both models of PPE will have depreciation, but for fair value model of IP, no depreciation. We seen this in the last class. Revaluation gain, revaluation loss, double S. Revaluation loss. Sometimes the gain goes to OCI, sometimes the gains go to PL, sometimes the loss go to PL, sometimes the loss go to OCI. Quite complicated. But to investment property fair value model, the fair value gain, fair value loss, whether it is a first time or subsequently, they will all go to the profit or loss. Okay, so I look at this, the investment property fair value model. It is straightforward. You don't need to divide classes. Every year you do it, no depreciation, whether it's gain or loss, all go to profit or loss. Very straightforward. And for this reason, we don't have that many past questions for this accounting standard. Not much things to test. Not like PPE. We have past question, but not much. Finish already? Let's move on. Now, is it possible for mixed model? Mixed model is very common for PPE, but for investment property, it is rare. Can but rare. Thus, between cost model and fair value model, which one do you think, cost model, fair value model, which one do you think will benefit the user, the accounts reader? Cost, fair value? Fair value. Why? I heard somewhere from here. Why? Why fair value is better for the user? Sorry? Follow the market. But cost is not follow the market. When we purchase, the cost is the market price. It's also following the market. Historical is outdated. Fair value model, especially when you're doing investment, is very important, you know. PPE, never mind, you're going to keep for 30 years, right? You don't tell me the market price, so never mind. But investment property, you should. They don't force, but they should use fair value model. So I understand that point. I'm the accountant. I have 4 investment property with me. All the 4 also I use fair value model. I feel proud for that. But I got extra work if I do fair value model. Okay? So all the 4 I do fair value. The last one is in another country, and currently the country having war. So I can't get the fair value. So the first 3 continue fair value model, for the last one use cost model. If I want to avoid this, all 4 I revert back to cost model. Can or not? Because of one, all the 3 I revert back to cost model. Any accounting standard, any situation, not just investment property, anything including PPE, you want to change from revaluation fair value back to cost is always not recommended. Your auditor will not give you a true value. Okay, so you can't move backward. You can only go forward. Change from cost model to fair value model is always welcome, but not the backward. Okay, you write whatever you want. I will just say this is rare then. Point B. property interest held by entity under a lease. Now, if we hold the property under lease, we become lessee. We are not the lessor, we're the lessee. Particularly to my FR F7 student, how lessee recognize this? When they sign a lease contract, how lessee recognize this? In front of me, I got 3 already. Only you dare to look at me.
Lease obligation.
What? Debit credit.
Liability.
Debit credit.
Credit liability.
Credit lease liability or lease obligation. Debit where? Rights of use. Yes. This is an asset. Take this down first class, a double entry. Okay, that means your class, I am renting in a property. Can I rent property and use it as my office? Rent in as an office. Now, if I rent in as an office, it becomes PPE. This will become PPE. Can I rent in and rent out?
Yes.
Sub-rent, earn the difference. Yes. Then rent in, rent out, it becomes investment property. Can also. So this rights of use can be investment property. If investment property, they want to use it. Okay, look at here. I changed story. Just now I got 4 investment property, right? Now still got 4, but different story. I got 4 investment property, 3 I own, 1 I lease. So that's the last one. First 3 I own, the last one I lease. I want to use cost model. So by right, all the 4 also can use cost model. But standard say, whenever you do leases to obtain the investment property, the fair value model is a must. So the first 3 cost model, the last one is fair value model. Alright, again, first 3 I own, I can use cost model. Last one I didn't own, I lease, so I must use fair value model. This is where the mixed model comes in. If I want to avoid mixed model, can I also use fair value model?
Yes.
Yeah, from cost move to fair value model is encouraged. But can the company say no?
Yes.
Yes, can also. I don't want because it's extra work, extra cost. I need to fair value them every year. Can also. So mixed model remains relevant, but it is rare. Either the fair value is not reliable, or you have this property as investment property. Can we go on? All right. No. This point first. 1.7. Finish 1.7. We go for break. Parent rent a property to subsidiary. If you have a group structure, then you will at least see these 3 sets of accounts. Parent must do their own one, subsidiary must do their own one, combine, do some elimination, it becomes the group one, group financial statement. When parent rent a property to someone, I don't care whether it is outsider or subsidiary, if the property is rented out, then this is investment property. Investment property inside the parent's account. The intra-group rental will be eliminated in the group. So from group account, you don't see the rental. So the lease doesn't exist in the group. The lease is eliminated. Lease is eliminated. Combine the account. Now we ask a group one question. Group, how do you use the property? The group will answer. We are using it as a production factory. So it becomes PPE. In the group, it becomes PPE. Are you alright now? Good. Then let's go for a 10 minutes break. 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we continue. Okay, class, change asset usage. Change usage. So there's a diagram here. Talks about investment property. Talks about PPE. Talks about inventory. If you rent that thing out, or for capital appreciation, hypoxia. If it's for office use, factory, hypoxia. If you buy sell building, buy sell land, it becomes here. Changing usage requires evidence. That means it is an actual change. Triangle means change, not just with the management intention. Class intention can always change, isn't it? Can always U-turn. Intention every night. I want to sleep early. Never sleep early. I want to wake up early Sunday morning. Unless got class, no choice. But can come here sleep, right? But still come. Intention, not enough. You need to have an actual requires evidence. There's a history to support the discussion. It says the business acquired a property original cost 15,000, change the usage at the point December 2012. When they change the usage, there's an accumulated depreciation, assuming you're using cost model of 5,000. So the book value, you can call it carrying amount, but in exam, it is alright to call it book value of 10,000. Carrying amount or the book value is 10,000. Fair value of the property, 18,000. So we start with a few situations. First one, investment property. So previously, you are holding the property for passive income, and you use cost model all this while. Now you want to change it to PPE, or you change it to inventory. If you want to change from investment property cost model to PPE, you have to remove the cost account, credit the investment property cost account, and debit the accumulated depreciation. If you do these two lines, you will remove the investment property from your account. But you still need a debit of 10,000, which is this one, debit here. So you move the asset to another category, PPE. After that, you can choose your model. I know previously was cost model, but now when it comes to investment PPE, you can choose again. You will not be restricted with any model that you had last time. It's a new start. If the new intention is not to hold for as an office, it's for sale, then you can put it to inventory. But not every time when you want to sell the investment property, you can put it to inventory. Not every time. You can do that only if you are a property company that normally buy and sell property. If you are not in a property company, like for example, this college wants to sell investment property, but not yet selling, where should this college put the property to? I guess can't be here. Then there is a non-current asset for sale. We should have another class to talk about that. B, assume the other way around from PPE last time to investment property or from inventory to investment property. PPE, so you remove the cost account, 15,000, remove the accumulated depreciation account, that you will remove the PPE totally. You still need a debit 10,000 to balance up the double entry, so you can debit now here to investment property cost model. If previously was on inventory, then that means there's no depreciation charge to inventory all this while. You will only credit the inventory 15,000, that's all, and debit to investment property 15,000. Okay, C. Investment property fair value model. C and A, same direction. IT to PPE or IT to inventory. The C here is fair value model. That means you update the value every year, you fair value them every year. And there's no depreciation charge. Fair value every year. And based on the head story just now, fair value 18,000. No depreciation, you just credit investment property 18,000. And debit to PPE, if you want to use it as PPE now, or debit to inventory, you want to use it as inventory now. After that, for PPE, you can choose your cost model or revaluation model accordingly. Page 7. From PPE to investment property, from inventory to investment property at fair value model. Now, plus you see, if you are carrying the investment property at fair value model, every time you present your account, it has to be up to date. So before you put your PPE inside here, before you put your inventory inside here, you need to update the fair value first. Update the fair value before you reclassify. How to update fair value? Looking at PPE, I know the book value just now was 10K. I need to update the fair value first. From 10K increase to 18K. So there is a gain on revaluation of 8,000. Remove the PPE cost account, remove the accumulated depreciation account, that will remove the PPE totally, but leaving us with a gain on revaluation because we need to update the value before we throw it to investment property. So debit investment property 18,000. Inventory no depreciation, so the book value remains at 15K, no depreciation, and you need to increase to 18K. So the gain of 3,000. The gain of 3,000 recognized to profit or loss because it's under inventory. Remove the inventory and debit to investment property 18,000. Can we go on? Yeah. 2 more. Have to change a bit of the story here because it talks about work in progress, WIP. So company, if they can construct property, they construct property for investment property usage, can, no problem. Entity constructed a property cost of 15,000 and use it as investment property. Fair value of property is 17,000 upon completion. Now, if you use cost model for your investment property, what you do is during the construction stage, whatever cost that you spend on material cost, labor cost, overhead, you capitalize them. Credit bank, debit WIP. Credit bank, debit WIP. Upon completion, you just remove the WIP. No more WIP, and you throw it to completed investment property cost model, so you don't need to update the value. You don't need to put it to 17. Just do a classification. But if you use fair value model, then you look at F. F. You still remove your work in progress, but you need to recognize the A. Because the other side now has to be at 17,000. Put to income and debit to investment property 17,000. Okay, move on. The recognition. We remove our investment property on disposal or when the asset is permanently withdrawn, means abandoned. The time when we studied PPE, we also have the recognition, and there's the word stolen there, stolen. Property is not easy to be stolen, where people can put into the pocket and all this and run away. So when you sell or when you abandon the building. Now, why people abandon building? Sometimes we just want to know a bit more, other than accounting. Why not they sell such a valuable building? Why not they sell? They just abandon, don't want to go away. And that's why we see quite a lot of abandoned houses in KL. Last time I worked in a place where I need to pass by Jalan Raja Chulan every night, around 10 o'clock at night. So Jalan Raja Chulan, while waiting for the traffic light, you look at the left side, there are a few bungalow houses, abandoned one, no roof, no door. The wall structure also broken, and a lot of bushes, a lot of grass and all this. So every time I stop at the red light, I won't look at my left side, I just look straight. I scared, who knows, isn't it? If you see, then you might go into the car one, right? Abandoned houses. Hey, why people abandon houses? Why don't they sell? Jalan Raja Chulan, very expensive place. Many reasons. Maybe the house crack or got those. Got those, I tell you, if you dispose of no one wants to buy. Many reasons, okay. But whatever it is, class, if they move out, leaving the physical building there, no more using, we must write off already. Although physically it's still standing tall, we must write off already because no more future economic benefit if you abandon it. If you have gain or loss on disposal, there's in no way you're going to present them as revenue. PPE still got chance. If you have a routine disposal for PPE, you may call it revenue, but for investment property, no. You don't call it revenue. Quite small accounting standard. Not many past questions you have. Next page onwards, I got 3 questions. Okay, 3 questions. Let's look at the first one. First question, Grange acquired a plot of land on 1st December 2008 in an area where the land is expected to increase significantly in value if plans for regeneration go ahead in the area. When we see land, we cannot immediately say this is PPE or this is investment property. We need to check the usage first. The land is currently held at cost of $6 million in PPE until the company decides what should be done with the land. They don't know what to do with the land, but they already purchased the land. Can it be parked under PPE? No. If land without purpose is investment property. So the PPE is wrong. We will reclassify this. The market value of the land at November 2009. That is the year end actually. I missed the detail out in the question. 30th November 2009 is the year end. Was $8 million, but after year end, this has reduced to 7 million. Look back to the question. We have something to write later. We will write in the answer that this cannot be PPE, it has to be IP. They also give us the latest fair value at the year end. That means it might hint us to use fair value model. It won't force. You can do this class. You can write in your own answer if you didn't say anything. You say they can use cost model full stop. And ignore the 8 million, ignore the 7 million. Then you don't get full marks already. There's the reason they give you the 8 million. And I will suggest they use fair value model so that the story continues. Just like some Hollywood movie. They are not supposed to go into the building, but they go. If they say, oh, I don't want to go in, then story ends already. They must go in. So fair value model, I would suggest. From 6 million, increase to 8 million. Gain. Or should I use 7? Because they give me also 7. After year end, 2 weeks after year end, it had reduced to 7 million. So now, do I use 8 or do I use 7? Why? Oh, not here. Or do you say something just now? You just work like that. No. Anyone? Do I use 8 as at year end or after year end 7? I hit 8. Why? But I have another accounting standard that talks about event after reporting period, where some events are adjusting event. If you can justify this is adjusting event, then we use 7 already. If it is non-adjusting, then we use back 8. So now it's 7 adjusting. Let me read. 2 weeks after year end, it had reduced to 7 million because there was some uncertainty surrounding the viability of the regeneration plan. How do we differentiate adjusting and non-adjusting? As a general, how do we differentiate these two? Condition exists at the year end. If something relating to this happened before year end, then this is adjusting already. So the case must start before year end first. Obviously, based on what I read just now, the case happened after year end. The uncertainty is after year end. This is how they structure the sentence. So this is non-adjusting. Condition after year end. Alright, so it becomes non-adjusting event. A small paragraph like this has got 3 accounting standards to test us: PPE, IT, and also IAS 10 event after the reporting period. This one, adjusting, non-adjusting, we have a separate class to do revisions. Because we have to do a lot of revisions, President can simply slot in any small accounting standard and grant us that 1 or 2 marks. So you may be looking it down, 1 mark only, 1 mark only, then you get result 49, it's also 1 mark only. So we don't let go any possible chances. We learn everything. But now let's take down the answer. So you see I use some short form here, right class, the FV, fair value, and FS without first explaining it. The marker accepts all these things, accepts SOFP, SOPL, goodwill, SGW, it accepts all of this. Very good. As in the exam, you're welcome to do adjustment, double entry like this, you're welcome. But actually, this piece of information, I can tap on using writing, yeah? Here. After I say use 8 million, then the gain of 2 million, I can actually write here, if I remember. If I didn't remember, sometime in the exam, after we write to center already, oh yeah, I forgot the point there. I draw an arrow. That one is not so professional. You don't confuse them that way. You can just add a new paragraph there. They will just read whatever you write and you get marks if you got a point there. So I need your help here. You see the double entry? I move the PPE back to investing property. A gain of 2 million. Do I credit to PL or OCI? Why? Huh? It's PL. Okay, so the rules still stand. Whatever you say is actually the opposite. Profit or loss then? Profit or loss? Now why profit or loss class? Because I remember just now on page 7, page 7 say if you move from PPE to IP fair value model, you got to do a revaluation first. This one is still correct. But the current question that we're doing with range, this land was never a PPE. When they first buy, they already don't know what to do. So the revaluation will never occur. All this while from start to the end, they are investing property. So it still goes to profit or loss. Let's move to next question. Sorry? The question said it was first put to PPE, right? But they did it by mistake. So since it was never a PPE, we won't go to OCI again. Right, second question. Discuss how the above event should be accounted for in the financial statement of Black Card. Black Card is a local government organization whose financial statements are prepared using IFRS. So whether it is a fashion goods seller, property developer, government, if they use IFRS, then the accounting will be standardized. But of course, the government will have some unique features, which their business model is very different from the private company, private sector. Black Card wishes to create credible investment property portfolio with a view to determine if any property may be considered surplus to functional objectives. Now, government have their main job to do. They also have side jobs to do, main and side. As long as they can generate income to the government, then they will do. The main income of the government, tax money. Then the main job of a government, spend cash. They do many things. As long as they can build the nation in the required directions. And who set the required directions? Do blue. Next year. No. The people set the directions. If the government is not working towards the people's wishes, people will vote them out and get the next one coming. If the next one, second one, still don't know what to do, we vote back to the first one. Only got two choices most of the time. But that is how it works out. So government has some main jobs to do. For example, building government school, government hospital, okay, and many more. 1MDB is not one of it. Public transport, national defense, sports, Lee Cheng Wei. One and the only one. That's all. Simple job. I heard he want to play again, right? Now he's doing training. Let's pause for a while. Sport. So you do revision, you know. I know what this is. Now come back to the main story. Government wants to create credible investment property portfolio, which is a side job, not their main job. No government is formed just to do investment. Government is formed to take care of people, to build nation. But of course, if this one, investment property, can make money, why not doing it? Looking for extra, surplus, extra. The extra property, which is not used for school, for hospital, and for sport, can be considered as investment property. The following portfolio of property is owned by Black Card. Black Card owns several plots of land. Some land is owned by Black Card for capital appreciation. That is already investment property. This may be sold anytime in the future. Class, don't confuse. When you see sell, you say inventory. That is wrong. Not every time we sell something, there's something becomes inventory. The main intention of having this land is for capital appreciation. And to realize the cash, you really need to sell them. If it is inventory, it's a different game. Buy, sell within very, very short time. So this is not inventory still. It is still investment property. Other plots of land have no current purpose. What they are? No current purpose. IP also. Because the government has not determined whether it will use the land to provide services, such as those provided by national park. Now, they haven't decided. If later on they decided to make it national park. What is national park? IP also. Park, I know park. National one, alright? It's no longer for passive income, national park. It is for what? PPE or government have to make national park. That's the main job. Or for short-term sale in ordinary course of operation. Short-term sale. Inventory. Okay, look at this question again. For a 7-mark question with 3 paragraphs. After I have done reading 2 paragraphs, I found out that the first paragraph would not have much accounting points that I can discuss. It is merely explanations of what they do. Important points start to come in the second paragraph. So I apply my judgment, 7 marks, half to the second paragraph, half to the third. First paragraph, I don't want to write anything. So 3 or 4 like that, no? 3 or 4 like that. Let's do this one first. I know the second one should not have interaction with the first one. Go back to blank paper. I write you the answer for second paragraph. Huh? Let's go to second paragraph. Sorry, third paragraph. Huh? Third paragraph. The local government organization, which is black hat, supplement its income by buying and selling property. That is inventory then. A lot of governments do that. Our governments do that. Our government build low-cost houses mainly to sell, to rent out. They got medium cost and high end. Not surprising, our government invested in overseas for high end property. Not surprising, but they don't tell us that. They don't want us to jealous, something like that. But this is how they do. So these are inventory. Buy sell property. Housing department regularly sell part of its housing inventory, is also mentioned here, in ordinary course of operation as a result of changing demographics. Demographics are population. House inventory, which is not held for sale, is to provide housing to low-income employee below market rent. So not all property are for sale. Some are to rent out to employees. You know, government flat. They call it Project Perumahan Rakyat (PPR). KL we have a lot of PPR. One unit. Now the modern one got 3 rooms. Small house got 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms. 1 month rental is how much? In ringgit. If you rent, you need to pay government. How much you pay? A lot of units, a lot of blocks are 124. 124. 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms. Some got LCCI view. Not joking. They got LCCI view, right? Below market rent. Normal flat, easily 600-700 ringgit rental per month. The government is only charging KL 124. No maintenance fee paid. Right? So is these houses still inventory? No. Then what is it? The rent to employee below market rental. It's not inventory anymore. But do you want to go into investment property? The answer is no. What is investment property already? Earn rental income or for capital appreciation, right? But are they trying to earn 124 ringgit rental income? And it haven't been changed for more than 10 years. So the main intention is to provide benefit to the staff. Honestly, the rental can't even cover the cost of maintenance. And you know the PPR people, they like to damage the leaf. No offense to PPRs, I stay in PPR before. My mom still staying there. I asked my mom move out, now I got my house, she still wants to stay there. But every time you move back to the PPR and go to the leaf, you just pray hard to the gods that the floor, the button is still there. Otherwise, you need to press other floor and walk out or something like that. And sometimes some people throw rubbish inside the leaf. Some people shit inside the leaf. Alright? But that is how the environment is. The government spent a lot of money. One of my neighbors, he needs money. We know him, he needs money. So he got to chop the leaf, take the wire, and sell the wire. But he doesn't know that inside the leaf was CCTV. He was whacked with 11,000 ringgit fine to repair the whole panel. 11,000 ringgit. Can he pay? He got kicked out after that. So I think the 124 ringgit rental will not be meaningful to anything. I decided not to call this investment property because it is not. It is more to provide benefit. So let's write the answer for the final paragraph before we look at the next question. One more point to tell you. I haven't end my answer yet. One more point to tell you. Because in financial reporting, we always try to include all relevant information, all useful information. But sometimes we will miss out some. Maybe we are careless. We are careless, never mind. Auditor also careless. So everybody careless and we miss out certain information. While some information we are not careless, we are aware about them, but we just can't bring it in. You see, I'm renting out houses to employees at below market rental, which means I sacrifice my income. I let them enjoy. So this is an indirect cost to me. I didn't pay now, but I get less, right? Indirect cost to me. I want to tell people about that I'm a good government. I provide low-cost housing at below market rental to my employee, but I can't because I don't pay and I don't receive. So how to do the double entry, isn't it? I will miss out this point. Some people suggest, why not you credit your rental income for the difference. By right, you can charge higher, but you didn't charge that much. You charge lower. So you receive a lower amount, but you top up with this one. Make it full rental. And debit to employee benefit cost. Then people will know that you have a cost that you suffer for you providing benefit to the employees. Now this is a very, very good idea. But at the moment, the accounting standards say you cannot recognize this income because you will never get money. You will never get something else. This is an opportunity that you have missed out. And it's missed out forever. It won't come back already. So you cannot recognize opportunity income. That is the final point I gave you for the answer. So let's put this double entry on your notes, but take a big cross as a cannot recognize opportunity income. Class, let's take down the final paragraph and then move on to the next question. Finish, huh? Next question, last question, right, of the IP. So I discussed points with you. You can try the writing at home. Last question. 7 marks, shorter. That means that class, shorter question, 7 marks, 7 marks. Almost every line has important points. Advise the director on how to treat the above. Year end 31st May 2006. The property of the formal admin center. Admin center is a PPE. Formal means ex PPE. It was a PPE. Now it's something else. So the formal admin center is owned by the company. The company had decided in the current year, that property was surplus requirement extra. Talking about this word, surplus to requirement, this time we also have surplus to functional objectives. So it's a copy and paste job. Surplus to requirement, surplus to functional objective. But you know our examiner said, some students when they go into the exam, they read this. The property was surplus to requirement. Actually, it means extra. No use already. But some students can write revaluation surplus. Do something else. And keep on living in their own fantasy. And write a few more pages about revaluation. And obviously don't get anything because the question is not actually talking about that. So the examiner concluded that some students, they go into the exam, they only look for keywords. They don't even read the requirement anymore. It's so obvious because some requirement will have the accounting standard number. But when they write the answer, they write the wrong number. So they didn't read that. They look for surplus. I know this question. Cannot. Extra to the requirement. So in the current year, they feel that the property was an extra. And they want to remove the demolish and bomb the building after year end. 10 June is after year end. Okay, look at here. I know about this story. They don't want to use it as admin center anymore. In fact, they want to bomb it. As at the year end, 31st May 2006. As at the year end, the building is still standing tall. But we know, all of us know, after 10 days, it will be bombed. So as at the year end, when we are preparing accounts, do we still keep the admin center in the accounts, or do we write it off? Physically, it's still there, still printing. So do we keep it, or do we write it off as at the year end? Well, you expect me to give you an answer or what? If it was a PPE, then this relates to PPE derecognition. There are rules there. Derecognition. When do we derecognize the PPE? If you're losing out control, at the end we are still controlling, or no more future economic benefits, which I think is the case. If your boss tells you 10 days after year end, you're going to bomb the building, you better pack up soon, you know. You don't on 10 June 2006, Baru come pack up, you know. People bomb you together. So I expect that class, as at the year end, the building is already empty, already vacant. They must spend some time to move everything out. So we write it off. No more future economic benefits. Write off. Now, some students will have different thinking, but lead to same answer. Different thinking, but lead to same answer. My thinking is there is no more future economic benefit as at the year end. So we write off. But some students think like this. They say, let me check impairment. Because the building must have problem. Otherwise, the boss will want to bomb it. So they test impairment. To test impairment, we need two figures: value in use and fair value less cost to sell. Value in use is zero already. You don't want to use it already, you want to bomb it. Fair value less cost to sell is also zero. You don't want to sell it, you want to bomb it. So if you tackle from impairment point of view, it is also a write-off because both the value in use and fair value to sell are also zero. Because you have to do the writing at home, I give you the points. No more recoverable amount. Continue. After demolition, the company will have to carry out remedial environmental work. Some kind like a cleanup. If you bomb the building, you have to clean up the environment, which is a legal requirement resulting from the demolition. As at the year end, do we charge provision in? When do we charge provision in? At the beginning of what? Okay, now see, some suggested we put in provision at the beginning we first acquire the property. In the last class when we learn PPE, we have things like that. For example, if you are drilling hole here, you drill hole here, but the college asks us to put back later. So the moment we drill hole, we have a provision. But if before we drill hole, we can still avoid, right? So you charge in a provision the moment you cannot avoid paying that in the future. The moment you cannot avoid. So I look at the building, assuming this is the first day I got the admin center, first day, I need to ask myself, anyone force me to bomb this in the future? If no one force me to bomb this in the future, then I can still U-turn on the clinic. I can choose not to bomb it in any time. If the law says I must bomb it down after 10 years, then today itself, no need to wait until the 10 years to come. Today itself, I will put in a provision because I have no U-turn, cannot avoid. Nothing in the present at the moment talks about the demolition is compulsory. It's more to like voluntary, right? They feel that it is extra, so they want to bomb it. No one forced them. So by right, no provision. By right. At the year end, you haven't bombed. But 10 days later you will bomb it. At the year end, do you put in the provision? Answer is no. You can still U-turn. Read this carefully. After demolition, you need to clean up. Not before. After. Is it possible any day before 10 June, boss said don't bomb first? Possible, eh? Wake up with different mind. Yesterday dream of something else. Today wake up to one. Cannot. Boss said, yeah, no money now. We drag it to one more year. So we can always avoid the cleaning before demolition. No obligation at year end, no provision. Hey class, by the same idea, if we accept that U-turn is possible, then do we still write off the admin center or not? Because it could be before 10 June, boss say no need to hold. So do we still write off the building? I know we don't provide provision. Do we still write off the building? We still write off the building. It's obviously a different rules, right? But they are from different accounting standards written by different guys. Yeah, different guys write different accounting standards. So the PPE guy say write off, but the provision guy say cannot recognize provision. But to me, I'm sure to some of you, this is clear contradiction. If you accept U-turn, then you should not write off the building as well. But you have to write off the building. PPE says so. Impairment says so. The provision say cannot recognize it. Have to wait until you cannot U-turn. It was intended that the land would be sold after remedial work have been carried out. So you only write out the building, you don't write out the land. You bomb the building, you don't bomb the land. The land is still good. So land we keep. We intend to sell the land. Which accounting standard is relevant? Nothing in the question at the moment say Tire is a property company. So I might not want to put the land to inventory. If I don't put the land to inventory, then where should I put it to? If I intend to sell the land. Non-current asset held for sale. But is it automatic? Every time you intend, then you put already. Is it automatic? Or do you need to fulfill some very strict criteria? What are the criteria? Huh? 5 of them, but if you can give me 1 or 2, that is good already. We haven't done revisions, so I don't force too much. But you can give me 1 or 2 today, is very good. The criteria to be met before you can put your non-current asset as non-current asset for sale. 5. Active. You don't get half mark, remember? Yeah? Actively seeking or looking for a buyer. That means you're serious now. You're committed to a plan. Within 12 months, you won't sell it. The price quoted is reasonable. There are many things that. But you might not want to write that so much. Because remember or not, the story like this can contain many accounting standards, but not all have equal importance. So the write-off is important, provision is important. They intend to sell the land after remedial work has been carried out. Why after? Why not now? You can what? You sell first, sign agreement. You know the transfer will take some time, right? You sign agreement first, then only you bomb it up. Can what? Can, but they don't want. They want bomb first, clean first, then only they sell. That means they are not committed to a plan. I don't see the urgency there. You can't still put the land as held for sale. Not immediate. Okay, not immediate, so no held for sale. Let's look at the points here. No obligation for the cleanup, so we don't recognize provision. It's not immediately set for sale, so we don't put it as held for sale. If you don't need to charge provision, if you don't need to reclassify it to held for sale, do we still write that in the answer? Yes. When I get marks, isn't it? If this don't write, then it's empty paper already. We still write. We still justify. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? We justify and we get marks. However, land prices are currently increasing in value, so company decided that it will not sell the land immediately. Double confirm already. It's no held for sale. They use cost model and own the property for many years. Hey, the land, if it is not held for sale, it is confirmed also not PPE because they don't use it as admin center anymore. Then where should I classify the land if it is not held for sale? Investment property. The reason they hold them back is because of the value, capital appreciation. So they need to reclassify the land to investment property. Okay, 7 marks for a few accounting standards, PPE, IAS 37, provision, IFRS 9, held for sale, and investment property IAS 14. 4 accounting standards. Guys, do you have anything to ask? If not, we move on to the next accounting standard. Okay, let's move on, yeah, to the next accounting standard. Okay, IAS 38 intangible asset. Right, guys, see, if you want to operate a college like this, can you name me some example of the asset that we need? The asset that we need.
Lecturers.
Lecturers are not the asset. License. License is without physical substance. License. If a license really without physical substance or not? Depending on what? License will, at the moment in our country, will be in the form of a paper. Right? Actually, I think with the advancement of the IT, we don't need to carry papers. We don't need to carry identity card, IC, driving license. We don't need that anymore. Because now you can pay parking without ticket also, right? You can use apps or whatever. So why should we still carry the IC? Some IC are illegal. Don't know buy or where one, all these things. So talking about our IC, driving license, college license, parking tickets, are they really physical goods or without physical substance? If I lost my driving license, can I get a new one again? Yes. I believe the cost would be minimum. Currently in Malaysia, driving license per year is 30 ringgit per year. So if I lost my driving, I don't need to pay back full 30 ringgit, I guess. There will be some minimum charges to get back the license. So it seems like I'm not paying for the card. I'm not paying for the card. I'm paying for a belief. That people believe that I can drive. Some people got license also don't know how to drive, so license is worthless one, right? So license is a belief. And can we make a fake license?
Yes.
We can. Certificates also can be fake one, education certificates. So, but if people believe in your certificates, people hire you, and you can perform at work, people normally don't question anymore on your certificate. So it's more to like a belief. License is intangible. We don't rely on the paper. It is a belief. But the problem is we need to prove. We need to identify which is a proof. It is a proof. Because it has no physical substance. You cannot see them, you cannot touch them, you need to prove it. That it exists. We move to the top left side. Identifiability. You say you have something that people cannot see, cannot touch. You have to prove to us by whether you can separate it out individually. Separate. Can you separately rent? Can you separately sell out? Now maybe we take brand for example. Brand. Can we rent our branding out? Yes, we can. Franchise, restaurants. Can we sell the brand out? Can. Can we sell our driving license out? But the government say to remind people to renew their driving license, they set the expiry date same as our birthday. I remember to celebrate my birthday, but I forgot to renew my license. So it was just on the 12th that day. Then I remember this on the 17th. So I've been 5 days on the road without a valid license. And then now in near Chinese New Year, right? There are a lot of roadblocks here and there. Luckily, I didn't got it. For the morning when I drove to post office to renew it, I was so scared and I look around. Some people forgot for 3 years. Right? After 3 years, gone. you need to retake the test. But before the expiry date of 3 years, you can still renew them. Otherwise cannot. Hey, my driving license cannot be sold, right? Can it be rented out? Cannot also lah. So would it be identifiable? Yeah, yes it is. Because it comes from a legal rights. License. Coming from contractual, coming from legal rights. So you have intangible asset in your account only if you can identify them. Let's go back to the middle box. I got more explanation here. Identifiable non-monetary asset without physical substance. Don't go to recording one. Okay. Non-monetary asset without physical substance. So today we talk about non-money. Non-money. Therefore, today we are not talking about cash, we are not talking about receivable, payable, and loan. Today we talk about non-monetary. Alright, definition of monetary item. Value is fixed and determinable. Definition of non-monetary item is non-monetary item. Other than monetary. So you might think, hey, why is so stupid going to repeat that the same thing again? But this kind of definition is actually needed. When you have something that you're not sure where to put, you just check, can I put it on top? If you can't put it on top, you put it at the bottom. So you only got 2 places to go. If you can't go to the male toilet, you go to the female. Only 2 choices. Okay? So this is why they set the definition in such a. But basically, class, the non-monetary items are those that can be negotiated. I think the cash value cannot be negotiated. If I have only 10 ringgit, that is only 10 ringgit. I cannot negotiate to be higher. But just now we have brand, right? Brand can negotiate. License can negotiate. My research and development, my knowledge, intellectual property, all of this can be negotiated for price. So it will be falling under here, non-monetary item. Identifiable non-monetary asset without physical substance. When do I bring my intangible asset into the account? So we look at the top right side corner. Recognized asset, satisfy first the definition. You got to make sure that something is here. If that something has physical substance, then you put it to PPE. Without physical substance, can be identified and put here. Recognition, follow back the IAS 16. Just now the investment property also the same thing, control. Probable future economic benefit, cost can be measured reliably. Now if you buy, most of the intangible asset you buy, then can satisfy the recognition test. Can we buy a brand? We can buy a brand. Can we create a brand ourselves? We can as well. We think of a name that no people know how to pronounce. So it becomes expensive. Get a designer to draw the logo. Get a celebrity to be our spokesperson. Then when we sell, we send our people go and buy that. To create sales, I can generate my brand. But internally generated intangible asset, it won't have recognition. You can't do it. Because the cost is not reliable. You generate yourself. What is the value? It's not reliable for you to say. If someone purchased from you, then that someone will have a cost. but you don't have self-generation, no recognition. Cost is not reliable. Okay, so internally generated brand name, reputations, goodwill, relationships, all these things. We do have some exceptions, development cost and the software cost. We will look at it later. Okay, now let's look at measurement model. Initially, measure it at cost. Let's do a quick revision. In the last class, we talked about PPE. PPE cost. It has got item cost. Other thing or not? Other thing. Item cost. Delivery, installation, dismantling, provision, certain modifications. If you buy office, you might need to pay legal fee. All these professional fees all count in. But if this is intangible, I don't think you need to install, screw, nothing. If you don't screw them, you don't need to dismantle them. So this is very simple. It is the item plus professional fee. Very simple. No physical. Subsequently, you can choose cost model or revaluation model. It will be same as IAS 16. If you go for revaluation model, first time gain on revaluation goes to OCI, first time loss goes to P&L, same. There's one catch here different from PPE. For intangible asset, if you want to use revaluation model, the asset must have an active market price. This one is not found in PPE. PPE, you want to use revaluation model, anytime is welcome. For intangible asset, not. The active market price is more reliable. Why so fussy? PPE is not like this. Now for intangible class, you want to prove its existence is already not easy. You have a separate test to prove that whether there's something is there or not. After you prove its existence, you better keep things at cost. Now you want to tell someone about the revaluation of something that you cannot see, something that you cannot touch. It's even more challenging. So standard once and for all say you want to use working model for intangible asset, the only way you can go is get an active market price. That is a daily transaction. Every day got people buy, sell. Those price. Not easy. Then you use cost model. Active means daily. Everyday transaction. Do you think taxi license in Malaysia is transferable? Taxi license. I mean, some of you, I can't believe you, mister, you're talking about taxi nowadays. So outdated. You talk about Grab car nowadays, right? Taxi. Huh? Now, taxi license in Malaysia are not transferable. But in the developed nation, it is transferable. And anyone also can be a taxi driver in developed nation. You today feel like you want to drive taxi, right? You just go online, buy the license. You can choose to buy for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Certain countries practice that kind of law to create job opportunities. Malaysia, no. You want to get taxi license, you need to apply. Wait. Once you got a license, the license is yours. You can't sell it. So taxi license in Malaysia has no active market. But in certain countries, yes, every day you can buy. Every day. And then you know the road tax. Road tax in Singapore. They are different. Certain road tax you cannot go city center. But if you want to go to city center, then how? You can go online, apply, you can buy. Okay or not bad. We don't have that. We don't have that, right? So class, intangible asset better use cost model because it's not easy to find the active market price. Next one, amortization. Now until today, honestly, maybe I didn't read enough. I still don't know what is the difference between depreciation and amortization because they look the same. The only theory I can conclude to myself and to you is PPE is written by one guy, this is written by the other guy. But it's actually the same thing. It is depreciation. If in an exam you accidentally wrote like this, the intangible asset is depreciated, you still get your marks. You still get your marks. Alright? So I don't know. Amortization now. For PPE, except for land, the rest of all PPE must be depreciated. Because physical goods will have its limited life. But this one is different. Most of the intangible asset get its value because of the belief. Because of the belief. And belief can sometimes be very long life. Unknown useful life. So let's talk about indefinite useful life. If we talk about social media apps, social media website, when we talk about social media, the first branding that appears in your mind is which one? Facebook. Instagram. Facebook, Instagram, which one? Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. The older one say Facebook. The younger one say Instagram. It is the research. The slightly, not very old slightly only slightly older one say Facebook. The slightly younger one say Instagram. Okay. Nowadays, it is quite okay actually to survive without a Facebook. Those days, no. Those days got farm, which you need to harvest the vegetable. A lot of games to be played in Facebook. But now there are so many different kinds of social media. If you want to share something with your friends, you can. You want to stalk someone, be a stalker, you can also. Instagram is a good choice then. And you see, Facebook. Okay, I think Facebook is still number one at the moment. Number one. But do they have problem in recent years? They have problem. Why they have problem? Security, privacy. But it has been for so many years. Google don't have problem with Google. Google also got this problem, But why US government only target at Facebook? Don't know. US government have this habit. If they see you big, they cannot stand it. They jealous. They shut you down. US government will not allow any entity, whether outside US or inside US, be bigger than the government. So they will shut you down. It happens to Microsoft last time. Now it happens to Facebook. Now it depends on this guy whether he can handle the crisis or not. But the US government intention is very strong. Is to bring them down. Because it's too big already. Right? So nothing wrong with Facebook actually, because Google is doing the same business model. It's not affected. Right? Now Facebook. So Facebook, when these kind of things get announced, they use the personal data to sell for advertisement. Actually, it has been gone for years. Before you sign up a Facebook account, they already told you, and you click yes, continue, accept, continue. You give them permission, not that they force you to. But this is the problem with human is when you see someone rich, you are inherently jealous. So the guy is very rich now, we're jealous. We're some more jealous because he used our data to sell without actually returning much back to us. Some people start to say, let's boycott Facebook. Okay, I don't see the need because to me my privacy data is not important at all. Not at all. Okay, you get tick. Not at all, right? But it is a very hurt to their reputations. Not surprising, honestly. By us looking at evolution in IT, Facebook.com will be disappeared from Earth one day. Last time we got Friendster. Anyone Friendster? Right? So Friendster doesn't go where. You remember the password now? You still have Friendster. So Facebook might have that problem, but at the moment, their useful life is still unknown. It might one day change to finite life. Finite means limited. Okay, limited. Go back to indefinite. Should not amortize because you don't know how many years to go. Review the life every year. If change to finite life, account for the change as estimation changes. Prospective change, I told you just now. And you test impairment annually. No amortization, review the life, and test impairment annually. Not just Facebook, we expect Apple to be the next one. Apple. Well, US government also against that one. US government currently against Huawei, the China phone company. They don't want the US people use a China phone, where the China company can collect data and send back to China for analysis. They don't want. Now, if US government really completely ban Huawei, would Apple be benefiting from that? Maybe a bit, but not much. Because Apple currently don't have something to wow everyone, except for its pricing. Wow! The phone specs, features, everything looks so dated. It's not really competitive anymore like last time. Okay. So if one day no one use iPhone anymore, then we have to seriously think about its useful life. But at the moment, okay, they are still okay. As long as the Apple logo is still there, their fans are still quite alright. And then the phone cover, you must put a hole. You must cut the Apple logo must remove. And then the laptop also, laptop, whatever cover they have, the logo must show. That is a business, the logo, alright? If your asset have limited life, then you amortize, you depreciate. But there's no scrap value. You look at license for example. When license expired, you can't sell it anyway. There's no more value. So no scrap value. You straight away use the cost divided by the useful life. Okay, class 12:45. We go for lunch, huh? Okay, now let's move on. Factors to support an indefinite life. There are currently a lot of top branding in the world in each industry. So we have one for social media. We have one or two for phone, three. Okay, big three for phone. And how about soft drink? Soft drink bad for health, but people like to drink it. Number one, branding in soft drink, Coca-Cola. When we have no idea what to buy, Coca-Cola. Always like Coca-Cola. Right? So looking at Coca-Cola, why they can keep themselves in number one after so many years? What have they done? Any secret like putting a smelly socks into the packaging? For example, I don't know. If I know, I can make one. Is it because of their formula, the taste or whatever? The brand itself, the advertisement itself, the sponsorship to all these sports events. It makes people believe that it is something that people should do every day. Under the advertisement, hot, right? Hot drink water lah. The thing is very sweet, you know. So advertisement. Innovation. You must show innovation. Always about new idea. Good history. So class, this one is a bit biased already. New brand, very hard to become international line. New brand. Old one, okay. Because you need to prove your good history. And resistance to negative changes, competition. The competition between Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola is so intense until we don't have a third player. I think Tesco tried Tesco Cola, but still can't penetrate into their market any nearer. It's still between the two, Pepsi, Coke. Resist to negative changes. Alright, next one. Research and development. Now, to some company, innovation is very important. Like handphone, for example, handphone, they must always come up with something to surprise the customer, to delight the customer, so customer will continue to buy. Even though the old one is still good, they will throw the old one and buy the new one. Innovation. But before you want to come up with something, you must research first. You must find direction. Research is to find direction. There are a lot of trial and error inside the research. Most of research project will die without finding anything. Therefore, research costs will be charged to expenses because there's no probable future economic benefit at the moment. Alright, look at this class, research and development. It will be done by the same group of people, and they just do work every day. So when we go into the R&D department, we're asking them, are you doing research or are you doing development? They will be looking at us at one time. They don't know how to answer us. Because today, they just do their work every day. They don't know how to differentiate that. So it's up to us now as an accountant to decide at what point the cost is research, at what point the cost is development. If you're still having a lot of trial and error, you can't find a direction, you don't have something clear, something concrete, it is still under research. You write off. But the moment you can find a directions where you can prove that technical and commercial means money, profit. Technical feasibility, commercial feasibility, you have the intention and able. Able means resources. Use it or to sell it and generate future economic benefits. That means it's very sure already. You're going to make it a success. Make it a success, then you can capitalize all the spending that you have. But before that, please, you still write off your research cost to expense. Okay, the timeline at the bottom is useful to demonstrate how to do accounting for the R&D. First stage, research. Second stage, development. Next stage is production already. When you're doing R and D, the whole R&D process is governed by IAS. After your development ends, when you start to do production, the IAS 2 will take over. So no more R&D, no more IAS 38. That is the end of 38 when you finish your development. When you do research, you write off expenses. When you do development, you capitalize, but it's not ready for use because you are still developing something. So you don't charge amortization. Once your development finishes, when you start to produce the product to sell, then you can start to amortize the development cost over the expected life. To phone maybe 3 to 4 years now. After that, cannot sell already. Production is under IAS 2. That's all. Class, before you go to page 10, you know, a lot of companies, they spend a lot of money here in research phase. And the accounting standards say right off. This will hurt their profit in the first few years. First few years, no development, no productions, no sales, but a lot of cost has been written off as expenses. So in the first few years, they show losses. Investor will run away. So some directors in the exam, the directors say, we have no problem write off research costs, but can we do this or not? When we found a direction, we know that this is going to make money, we want to reverse all the expenses back to intangible asset. Because the argument of writing this off last time is because not sure. Now sure already. Do you think they can reverse the expenses back to the asset? The accounting standards say you cannot reverse. The research cost is written off forever. cannot come back. Whatever reason also. And now we are ready to look at page 10. Okay, page 10 brings us to group account for a while. Parent, subsidiary, previous owner of subsidiary. In exam, we will be the parent. Okay, we want to buy the subsidiary, so we negotiate with the previous owner of subsidiary. And the game is always very simple. They want to sell expensive. We want to buy cheaper. So throughout the negotiation, they come up with a point why they want to sell so expensive. They say the subsidiary currently have a newly started research project, which in future it will boom to something very big. Of course, this has to be kept secret. If other competitor knows that, the other competitor will follow. A lot of laptop companies got shocked, not shocked, shocked when Apple first released its iPad. It looks like a laptop, but more mobilized, it's lightweight, and very powerful. So therefore, a lot of white man laptop maker, they sell their laptop divisions to China. Let the Chinese company do it. They can't fight iPad. And until today, you talk about tablets, a lot of companies still using iPads for operation. Although we have no choices, iPads, it seems like still the first choice at the moment. Because its operating system, I feel, is the most stable one. I think so. I never owned an iPad before. This is what I get. But my experience with Android is very annoying. Okay? Yeah, iPad, right? So yeah, maybe this one is the next generation of working machine. So no wonder they want to sell expensive. So we say, all right, we're willing to pay plus a research project. We're willing to pay extra for that. Now, you see, the acquisition date when we become a parent is 1st January 2014. First day when we step into the subsidiary already incurred 10,000 for research. In the subsidiary account, the research is expenses, right? But in the group, it will be capitalized as intangible assets because the group acquired. Research costs incurred after 1st Jan, which is under my control period. So class, these 5,000 are the new one, new cost. But it will still be in research. So subsidiary continue to write off as expenses. The group account will start to be expenses as well. The only difference is when we calculate group view at the point we step in as a parent. Now class, after this, you see, if they continue research for a few more years, the intangible asset will still be there, isn't it? Do we amortize this after that? In the group, do we amortize this? Is it ready for use? It's not ready, so no amortization. It's not ready. Alright. Guys, let's move on. Now let's move on. It's recorded. Software. Plus we can buy software. We can develop software ourselves. If you are developing software yourself, you just follow the R&D. You still do research and do development. Follow. If you buy, then you can capitalize. Example of software. Example of software. Microsoft what? Office. Sorry? iOS. Okay. Hey, when I last time still work in the office, then I first graduated from ACCA. I have the trainee experience, internship experience, 6 months. 6 months only, 6 months. So not easy to find jobs, basically. And then a lot of graduates also. So I interviewed with commercial companies. They give us form, they gave me form to fill up, and one section is what software you know. Microsoft Office. Only one. We don't even have iOS at the time. There's only one. If you know only Microsoft Office, it won't make you stand out in commercial company. Because they got different kind of software, different kind of resource planning enterprise system, which we never used before, and we are not taught in the class. ACCA is like this. We don't teach you software, alright? So I end up in audit firm. Audit firm, they just ask you one question: are you willing to work alone? Okay lah. No job, go in. Now, then I worked in firm for 7 years. In between, I also tried out in commercial firm because audit firm is boring, repetitions, paperwork, and we are not respected most of the time. When we go to people's office to do audit, people thought we are come to disturb them. Auditor come again. That kind of faith. So I go commercial with ACCA membership, experience. Of course, you interview with listed one. Listed even worse. Software again. Microsoft Office. Maybe audit software, but who needs audit software in listed company? Still fair. So software it seems like it's important now. Just a thought. You work in audit firm got good and bad. You know a lot of things, but not everything that you know people need it. Then you go to commercial, do you know how to do this cut off? Do you know what's cut off? I know cut off. Then you cut you off. Then they come already, right? Cut off. Okay, let's come back here. If you purchase, you capitalize them. But if it is an operating system, for example, Microsoft Windows, hey, Microsoft Windows is part of PPE class. I believe class, you can live very well without Microsoft Office. I believe you can live very well without antivirus, but you can't live at all without operating system inside the computer. You can't even start the machine. So the operating system is essential for the condition, for the installation of the hardware. OS will be part of the PPE cost. Other than that, all software becomes intangible asset. Okay, we finish 1.5, then we go for lunch. It's recorded again. The following item must be charged to expense when incurred. This is by IAS 38, by the accounting standard. So you must follow. Internally generated goodwill, your reputation, your brand, your relationship. Startup, pre-opening, pre-operating, there is a business registration cost. Trading costs on human. Where we cannot control. How about training costs on animal? Yeah, some business use animal to perform shows. Training costs on animal. Can or not? Okay, why not first? No control. You can't control the animal? Can control. Not the animal control us. We control the animal. But we can't control human, that's for sure. Training costs for human will be expensive. We don't have control on animal, I think can. It satisfies the control test. Advertisement has to be expensive, cannot capitalize. Relocation, like move office, all cannot. All has to be expense off. Okay, so on my clock now is 12:42. We have lunch until 1:30. 1:30 we start again.